we
got me to run a bit more.
So you went for like a running pre-season?
Yeah, well, I shouldn't have been there. But it was good.
Like a babysitter, Dennis. Like a babysitter.
Babysitter. Hey, for the next 6 or 7 years, I wasn't telling you.
Even now? Even now?
Nah, I think he's grown up a little.
Right, was you straight away, you was fine with Dennis? It's not like, well, they're forcing this guy on me.
Yeah, I tolerated him. Yeah. No, but obviously we'd been together with Ireland. It was great. Then I'm going to a new club. And then Dennis here to help me settle in. Yeah, it was fantastic. Couldn't have picked a better roommate, really. Although you did.
Get back to Dennis, Roy, Gary in just a quick second. But remember, if you like this video, please like, share and subscribe. And also, don't forget to click the notification button so that you know when the next Big D video hits. And if you've got something to say, if something's bubbling up inside of you that you need to vent, please put it in the comments. I read all of the comments. And in this video, Dennis and Roy and Gary are going to be talking about Dennis's relationship with Roy and how they were and all of the mutual respect, all the funny stories, all the little arguments that they might have had throughout their time at Manchester United. And it really is quite touching as well. So anyway, without further ado, here's the gang. Afterwards, stick around because I'm going to be giving my thoughts on what is a fantastic relationship between two excellent footballers. Here they are.
So we used to like good mates at United?
Well, different kind of ages, weren't we? You came in, remember when you first came in '93, the kind of, well...
Did the manager force you to kind of room with me a little bit?
No, he didn't force me. Anybody no. We went to South Africa. Remember that?
That's
You
right.
would have been there with us.
Yeah, we was there, yeah.
Yeah,
Played in that game, yeah.
Yeah, we weren't supposed to go. Well, I wasn't supposed to go, and then he says, like, we're signing Roy. And made me go to the manager. Another thing you have to do, isn't it? And we just roomed together, and that was it. Because that's what you did in the days, wasn't it? You roomed together and had a bit of fun because there was no phone.
Why weren't you going?
Because we played internationals right into kind of middle of June.
Well.
And he'd like to give you like 3 weeks off, but obviously great signing. And Roy, and rest is history.
So you helped me to settle in, isn't it? That type of scenario, isn't it?
Did you share a room straight away?
Yeah.
He took you just because of that, to room with Roy?
Yeah, because like representing in Carnival.
So you roomed with Roy. Did you ever fall out?
I'm sure we would have done. Flicking over, something simple like flicking over TV or something like that.
Do you know, I think the only one I really remember was, and I don't mean nights out, it was after a game. I don't know who was at home, Dennis. We played a European game. Something happened. I remember you had a few words with me, and I thought it was somebody else.
Right, Juventus, was it, or something?
Was it Juventus, yeah. And that was the only night. Remember, every now and again, we'd stay at a hotel the night after a game if we'd
home
game.
game.
Home game.
Mottram,
and we stayed, and we were after having a bit of a bust-up, and that was the only one where we went back to the room, and it was a bit...
Frosty.
It was a bit quiet.
Was it
frosty?
frosty?
It was frosty, yeah.
Who brought
We
the
has to
ice?
move.
Yeah, that was the only time we really kind of went after each other.
Yeah.
Which is
fine.
Which is not bad in, what, 12, 13 years together, yeah.
Have you kept in touch since stopped playing?
Not really. If we meet every now and then for a coffee or...
Yeah, not as much as you'd probably think, both of us, considering we roomed with Ireland and obviously United. Dennis lived not far from me. We're both from Cork. That suits both of us.
Yeah.
We met a couple of weeks ago for a bit of breakfast, and that was cool. And yeah, we keep in touch. But Dennis,
it was a different era.
Tennis and paddle.
Yeah.
To see him,
No, it's just. I mean,
nice.
It's different. Like the young lads come in, they stuck together. Like you were quite sharp. You good friends with Sharp.
Yeah.
You know? Like you were 6 or 7 years younger than me. I mean, I was in a different stage.
That's right. Yeah.
And
but when we were together, we got in a few pints together after matches. All that was good. And
good.
wives
All
to get
good.
Together.
Yeah.
I always used to remember, Dennis, actually, you stood at the bar, just very calm, and everyone else sort of on the night out, and you'd be there, and you'd always drink the local beer from wherever you went.
Absolutely.
It's the first time I ever heard someone say you must drink the local beer from wherever you go.
Still do.
Sensible.
It's funny, yeah.
Where was I?
He's under the table. Really great times.
What annoyed you most about Roy, and what annoyed you most about Dennis?
Nothing really.
Not really, truthfully.
I mean, that's
We
incredible,
come from the same city. He comes from the wrong side. I come from the right side.
Go on, leave that for a second. No, we had some great... No, the only time we used to be at the golf, and I remember a couple of times pre-season, there was a couple of times we were late a little bit, and...
That would have been your fault.
My fault, yeah, of course it was, yeah. And but we never.
No.
He was late.
No, that was.
Any concerts you guys about me being late?
But we
He was
were
late.
both. We kind of slept it out, didn't we, for a couple of times. It was funny.
He
honest.
says he's never been late in his life.
I
so
never said that.
you
Very
should-
rarely.
said that.
We've been late a couple of times.
Yeah.
But only
For the
because
We were late
we
one
slept
morning.
in.
Yeah, and Dave, the physio, came and he was after waking me up. But I said, I told you this before. And I said, I'll have an extra, as you do, we'll have another 10 minutes. But I went back to sleep and we were late for the bus and Dennis was going mad. And he said to Dave, you're supposed to call us. And Dave said, I woke you up. I was speaking to Roy, but Dennis was still asleep, so I said, I'll have it. Dennis was like, don't call him.
Hence me looking after him, you see, the first 5 or 6 years. I'd always like to be in control of my own destiny, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Don't call him.
Right.
Yeah.
Who's your favourite teammate then?
Favourite teammate?
Don't embarrass me now. Jesus.
He's from Cork, and he looks after me, doesn't he? We had a great time together.
Absolutely.
Really good.
The best.
Listen, I had 12 years there where, I like to think I got on with everybody. I wasn't one of them that upset anybody.
Did you ever follow with anybody at United? Like, were you the one speaking to him? No?
You covered that for him.
Yeah, I don't think I did. No, I was kind of a calming influence.
You were just
I
a nice
suppose.
guy.
Yeah, I don't
Nice
know about
guy.
that, but yeah, no. Roy was brilliant. He really was. But listen,
Roy Keane, obviously he's seen as this pantomime villain, this guy that tells it like it is, aggressive leader, domineering personality. But you forget, he was a youth player too at one point. And there were players who were senior to him. There were players that were of a higher status than him at the time. And there were players who looked after him as well. And it's really nice to see that dynamic there in those clips with Dennis and Roy, because you can tell, even now, Roy kind of looks up to Dennis Irwin a little bit. And it's interesting because they are two completely contrasting personalities. Obviously, Roy is a little bit bombastic, he's a little bit aggressive and forthright and all of this. But when he's next to Dennis is, he's nice, polite, he's funny, he's witty, he's mild-mannered, but he's quick-witted and all of this, and he's just completely comfortable in his own skin, and Roy just seems to relax around him. It's really strange. It's like it's his big brother, and who he clearly looks up to. And as I say, even now, Dennis is taking the mick out of Roy, but Roy loves it, and it's just really nice to see. Yeah, but it's that thing. It's almost like that old saying, you don't fight fire with fire, you fight fire with water. And Dennis Irwin, in this instance, is clearly chill. He's the water in them to Roy's fire, so to speak. But yeah, I mean, it's really nice to sort of hear these stories about these old pros and stuff like this, and sort of remember back to when Roy Keane was just coming through the ranks. And it makes you think about all the other big personalities from back in that era. So we're talking from since when Roy signed, so that would be 93 all the way up until Dennis left, which would be 2002, I think it was. So I mean, you had Bruce and you had Pallister, you had Paul Ince as well, and Peter Schmeichel. It's interesting that Peter Schmeichel and Roy Keane, didn't really get on throughout the years, because Peter Schmeichel technically was a senior player compared to Roy. Because I think Roy was he was in his early 20s when he signed for Manchester United, and Peter Schmeichel was already in his prime. I think Peter Schmeichel signed for Man U when he was about 27, 28. I'll have to double check that, but he was he was coming towards his late 20s, so there was a good few years between them. So it's interesting to see that. To be fair, you think about it, really, it's no surprise that they clashed, because they were two alpha-type personalities, And I'm not even necessarily saying that Dennis Irwin is a beta type personality. He's certainly not, because in that clip there, he's certainly the alpha personality compared to Roy Keane. He's quietly alpha, if that makes sense. But all the players that would sort of keep a player like Roy Keane in check, or personalities, shall I say, that would keep Roy Keane in check. I mean, I've heard Roy Keane talking glowing terms about Steve Bruce, and Steve Bruce was similar to Dennis Irwin. I mean, Steve Bruce wasn't necessarily a domineering personality, not in the same way that Roy Keane was. He was a really nice bloke, but you could tell he was the captain, and he was the captain for a couple of seasons there when Brian Robson was winding down. But Brian Robson, the same. You know, they weren't sort of domineering or anything like that. They were just players with stature, with presence, who they didn't need to shout at you to get you to listen or anything like that. So, yeah, the different personalities around Old Trafford at that time, it's something that we could do with now. Let's say that. But yeah, what do you guys think of the relationship between Irwin and Keane? Do you have relationships like that in your life? But yeah, as always, your thoughts in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one.